around the latest developments in the political landscape. Of course, we've just seen the ODM Elections Board has nullified the primaries that took place in Busia County that had seen the incumbent, Sospito Jamong, declared winner. And let me now bring in Abel Oyeyo, who works for Center for African Progress. Many thanks, Abel.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, surprising twist of events in Busia. Otoma, by last evening, he had an early lead. Come morning, the story changed all of a sudden.
Yeah, of course it was some kind of, there was a little bit of monkey business, of course, from two constituencies. And of course, if the interference was not brought up, Otoma was supposed to be declared winner. Ideally, could have won. And I think the decision which has been made by the ODM Elections Board is the right one. It sends a message that if you bring about monkey business, it will be nullified, and then it will have to be done again. So that is how you bring about confidence in the party process.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Speaking about confidence in the party process, do you feel the nominations have exemplified democracy to a large extent?
I think yes, because when you look at what Sospita did, I don't think he had the blessings of the party top guys. He decided to play his own small games down there, and that is why, because of the protest and all that, they had to come in and say, no, this cannot happen. So the party, I think, supports democracy, and the nullification of the results from Busia is a message of support for democracy.
All right.
Yes.
And still keeping it with Busia, now that we are having the repeat polls come next week by the board as they have issued a statement, what do you make of this? Are we likely to see voters coming out in large numbers to really stand the ground and say, this is our candidate?
Yes. In fact, the fiasco has created some kind of sensitization of the voters. And I expect the turnout to be a little bit more than what we witnessed here today. So especially from the Otoma strongholds, they'll come out in large numbers, and of course you realize he led in all the constituencies but two, that is Tosa North and Tosa South. So it's going to mobilize in large numbers, and it's going to be, I think, an advantage for ODM.
Okay.
It's going to assist in bringing out guys to go and now send a strong message to whoever. Maybe it's going to be Otoma or maybe Sospita.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's talk about the Elizabeth Ongoro decamping issue. Did we expect this?
Well, I don't think it was expected, but of course Ongoro has been, I think, the recipient of some kind of unfair treatment, politically speaking, and I think she's had it too much. I don't think she wants to take it anymore, so that's why she's decided to say, okay, if ODM guys don't want me, I'm going to shift to ANC. And of course she had to make a brilliant political move to just stick within NASA. So she just moved from ODM to ANC, which is of course within the umbrella coalition.
All right.
Yeah, so she's, I think, moved with her supporters, and if she's likely to get some kind of sympathy. She's been mistreated. She's talked about being a woman. Last time you remember in 2013, she was prevailed upon to, pull back her ambitions.
Okay.
And, yeah.
And Abel, it's quite interesting that we're seeing this switch by Ongoro, who is perceived to be a ODM diehard, and she's been one of the vocal and visible women leaders in the party.
Yeah.
What does this mean for ODM in terms of mobilization in Nairobi and also for the women vote?
I think there is a problem. There is lack of coordination, and there is lack of what we call due attention to significance of women in the party. And I think it's high time for the party leaders, to move in and control some of the events that are taking place. I think the kind of treatment she's received has not been fair. So they have to move in and control things before it gets out of hand. Of course, the worst case scenario she could have done was to move. What she could have done was to move from ODM and totally from NASA to something else. But I think she calculated her moves and said, okay, I'm just going to move to ANC. That is, I think, should be some kind of warning to the party leaders. They have to make sure they treat the women.
But the bigger issue, Abel, is does she have the political muscle to run a political campaign under the Member of Parliament seat, knowing pretty well TJ Kajwang, who is the current Member of Parliament for Ruaraka, is quite strong on the ground. Does she stand a chance in terms of unseating Kajwang?
Now, Ongoro is a strong candidate from my assessment, and I think Kajwang is overrated. It's possible that she can go ahead and actually beat him. And of course, what has happened is likely to bring about some kind of sympathetic view of Ongoro as an ODM person and as a leader. So it's likely to be tough for Kajwang. she can beat him. It's possible.
So are we likely to see a probability that, of course, both will be running under the NASA umbrella?
A coalition, of course.
What does this mean for a Jubilee candidate running in that constituency?
This is the mistake NASA has always made. Last time, of course, there were ODM candidates, Wiper candidates, Ford Kenya candidates in the same electoral, divisional location. And what that did is to reduce the chances of the NASA guys or the court guys having one of their own win. So the Jubilee candidate gets some kind of advantage.
All right.
Now, there's Kajwang here, there's Ongoro here. The Jubilee candidate will, of course, get a small number of votes and sometimes even win. So that is the mistake that is, of course, being done by the NASA guys.
All right.
They need to have a joint nomination, get one candidate who can then face off with the Jubilee candidates.
All right.
Yeah.
And looking at Nairobi politics, they've been more of it's more of a cosmopolitan compared to what we see out of Nairobi, really, where it's more of the ethnic lines. For Ruaraka, two candidates from the same community, and what does the voter base look like? Because Ruaraka, Kasarani captures quite a diverse demography.
Yeah. I think Ruaraka is a representative constituency of Nairobi, the character of Nairobi. It's quite cosmopolitan. You find all the ethnic groups there. But of course, there is a likelihood of some groups having slightly higher voter numbers.
All right.
And of course, having two candidates from the same group, from the same tribe, of course, is a disadvantage at the end of the day.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'd also want to pick your thoughts on, from a party standpoint, the ODM party leader, what do you think is going on in his head at this juncture where he's seeing Busia, this mishap, now Nairobi, Ongoro, one of his fierce supporters has decamped. What does this mean for him?
Now, ODM is a very popular party, and what has happened is expected. That is part of political, process, activities and all that. And what has happened in Busia, of course, sends a message. I don't think it's a negative event because the party has taken the right step. So wherever Raila is, he's very happy because he has a very vibrant party. And I think this actually raises the profile of the party a notch higher. Yeah, it's not all lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not all lost.
No.
Many thanks. Abel Oyeyo there talking to us and just giving us the latest regarding this party primaries. And of course, a lot